Hi there, I'm Alex from Hewer. We are one of the Southwest's oldest and leading heating companies. Now, with winter on the way and temperatures set to drop, we know having a working boiler is absolutely critical for you and your families. That's why we've put this video guide together to address some of the common faults that can sometimes occur and how importantly you can resolve them yourselves quickly and easily to minimize disruption by following our step-by-step guide. First thing is locating your boiler. Now in this property, as you can see, we found it in the kitchen, but you may well find your boilers located elsewhere around the house, possibly in a loft or indeed other parts. But a common misconception and one thing to look out for is don't confuse your boiler with a hot water cylinder. You may find those in your airing cupboard. Step one then, check for power. Once you've located your boiler, check to see if there are any obvious signs of power being received. You're looking for lights and text or displays illuminated that tells you power is on. If there are no obvious signs of power on your boiler, first thing to do is check the local isolation switch. Now you'll typically find these located near to your boiler, but sometimes they are elsewhere in the property, so do be sure to check. So if the power doesn't appear to be on your boiler, but the main isolation switch is on, the next step for you here will be to check your mains fuse box. You're looking to see if the heating circuit breaker has tripped. If it has, you can try and reset it yourself. However, please note, if it continues to trip, please do contact or seek the guidance from a qualified engineer. Next step then, back to your boiler. Now if there is power, what you're looking for here, are there any fault codes on the display? If there are, jot them down. Why? Well, they'll be useful to an engineer should they need to visit your property and conduct any repairs. Once you've noted down the fault code, next thing to do will be to reset your boiler and see if that rectifies the issue. How to do that? Well, for this model, as you can see, we have our restart button. You press that and hold for a number of seconds. But please note that it may well vary from make or model of your boiler. So if resetting your boiler hasn't rectified the issue, the next thing to do would be to check the pressure. Now on this particular make and model of boiler, you can see the pressure indicated here on this gauge on the far left. And what you're looking for is pressure anywhere between 1 and 2 bar. It may well be indicated like this one here with the green arrows, but it may vary between make and model. So if the pressure is low, we can top it up. How do we do that? Well, first things first, you need to locate your filling loop. Now, typically these may be located in or around your boiler, but in some properties they're located elsewhere. In this example, it's here in our airing cupboard. How do we know? We can identify it by our braided hose and our 2 isolation valves. So in this property, as you can see, the pressure gauge is there conveniently placed for us to see and monitor as we top it up. That's not always the case though. Sometimes it's displayed as we saw earlier on the boiler itself. Now if that's the case for you, then perhaps you might need a friend or a family member to help you and be by the boiler as you adjust from here. So first thing to know is the position of our 2 indicator valves. As you can see, they are across the pipe, and that indicates they are closed at this moment in time, as they should be. To open them, all you need to do is turn them 90 degrees into the down position. Our second one is currently closed, and before we do that, a couple of things just to remind you of. First things first, keep an eye on that pressure gauge. That will start to move as we've opened the indicator valve. You might also hear the water as it's moving through. That's absolutely fine. So we turn our indicator valve down, and we're keeping an eye on that pressure gauge the entire time. What we're aiming for, between 1 and 2 bar, the optimum being 1.5. Once we hit that point, we can turn the indicator valve off nice and slow. And don't forget our second indicator valve, and now both positioned as they were originally, indicating this is off. Our next step then is to check your programmer. Now this is what controls your heating and your hot water supply. So we can find ours here in the airing cupboard, but it typically will be located in or around your boiler. Now what we want to do here is make sure it is switched on, as we can see by the red lights, and next thing to do will be to check the thermostat. So now we've checked our programmer, which we know determines when the heating and hot water can come on. But this next part is the room thermostat. Now what this does is determine the temperature of the rooms in your property. An important thing to remember when you're adjusting this is it will only come on if, of course, the temperature is higher than that of the room temperature. So I'll turn this on here. This is a manual display here, but yours, of course, may be digital. And what you're looking out for as you adjust this here is, of course, an audible click or a light to indicate it's on. So our last step then, back to your boiler. Let's see if everything is working as it should be. And as you can see here from our boiler in this property, it is. We've got the flame symbol there, which is a good sign. We can see the temperature is just starting to rise again. And of course, we would recommend you set your boiler to its most efficient setting. So there you have it. Thank you very much for following our step-by-step guide here to some of the common boiler faults that can sometimes occur when things get cold. Hopefully you've managed to resolve your issue, but if for any reason you haven't, please don't hesitate to contact one of our friendly team here at Hewer, and we'll be sure to send one of our engineers your way as soon as possible.